Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden in winter time. Even though we are in winter, it's surprisingly mild and lovely, and you might see my back as a lawn is really nice and lush and green considering the time of the year. And what I want to do today is I want to do some pruning, but I don't want to prune anything in the borders, because number one, it kind of still looks nice, even though everything is in its stage of like all shades of brown and beige. Boy, is amazing winter structure, and if there is more frost or snow on its way, it is really beautiful to look at it. But it is a perfect time of the year to prune your hardwoods in the garden, especially if you have like fruiting trees or something very vigorous as the willow that I have in the back here. This is one of the focal points of the front garden. So what I want to do in today's video, first of all, I just like to tour you around a little bit in the front garden and show you the situation at first. Then I just would like to give you some information on why it is the ideal time of the year to prune some of your hardwoods, and then I'm going to get on my ladder and start pruning it. You can tell it's going to be a lot of work because, well, I think it's going to be like this pretty much. A lot goes away from it. It's very vigorous. It grows probably 2 meters, 1.5 to 2 meters each year. And it is a wonderful job that I really love to do because it's very tranquil. And I'm just like doing this with myself, and it takes entire days. So I'm really looking forward to do that. And it's a lot of material from my dad hedge, by the way, as well. So first thing I'm going to do is tour you around the front garden. So hope you are excited to join me in my garden today again. This is the front garden, and I'm standing pretty much the side of the front garden. So if I swing to the left, there is a house. This wall is south facing, and there is a robinia. You might remember in one of my December videos, like jobs for December time, I already pruned this one back here. And you can also tell how important it is trying to incorporate some lovely evergreens into your border during winter time, especially. So there is euphorbia. Really happy here. When I planted the first 3 specimens, I was like, oh, I'm not so sure if this is going to work because they come from a Mediterranean climate, and clearly I don't have a Mediterranean climate here. But I can give you proof on how happy they are because I've got offspring in the border here and there and more over there, growing in between some weeds, by the way. And I will transplant them because I want to have another drift just here, just behind the beautiful that needs a job as well, because the heather growing in the urns headed, that is not looking nice at all anymore. Alfie's with me. Alfie is just my lovely watchdog at the moment. She's just having a straight eye onto the gate because this is actually the front garden. So this is how it opens up, and here is the willow. So the willow really is the focal point, but you can also tell how electricity works here. So we've got these wires all the way along the road. So just behind the hatch, behind the swing bench and the hatch, there is a road. So this is also why you're gonna hear cars every now and then. And the willow really grows into the wire here, so we need to make sure that that doesn't happen and always cut it back. And on top of it, don't want to block too much sun. And you might see, I'm going to come in with my finger now to show you. So this is pretty much the point where I always cut it, and everything above, so all of this here, legit, this is the growth of 1 year. Isn't that crazy? 1 season. This has to go. So what I will do first is I will come in just with my secateurs and just cleaning it a little bit here at the bottom. So some of these branches that grow a little bit more horizontal, they have a lot of tiny branches like these here. They all spring up, and I'm really going to chop them all back completely. So I'm left only with this lovely thicker branches here, and you can tell this willow has these beautiful like curved branches, so it is really a wonderful structure even when it is cut back entirely. It's going to be a really lovely open framework in the end. And then I'm going to step on my ladder with my loppers and really start stripping back a lot of these branches here. Try to show you how they actually look up close. I hope you can see it on the video, because they have a really nice color. They are greenish. This willow, the fresh branches, they have a really wonderful color. Last year, I used some of them to make one of my basket weave fence sections down by the slope, and they aged into almost like a blackish color, but still is nice. And I'm kind of considering, if I'm gonna end up with a bunch of really lovely branches, that I'm just gonna do the same again. So this is just my little tour of the front garden at the moment. Also, so you get to enjoy all the lovely textures. One thing I still need to do, by the way, is I grow a bearded iris here. And can you see? This is not good. There's a lot of the old willow leaves on top of it, and they're just like burying all of the bearded iris and the rhizome. So this is definitely not good. So I think tomorrow or the day after, we're going to come in here and just clean that up so that the rhizomes are exposed to the sun, because they really don't appreciate if leaves are starting to rot on top of them. So this was my little tour of the front garden, and now I just wanted to talk to you I'll talk you through on why it is a good idea to cut your hardwoods at this time of the year. The reason on why it is always a good idea to prune your trees, fruiting trees or vigorous trees like this willow during winter time is quite simple. And there are two things that really factor in. Number one is you do not want to disturb any kind of nesting birds, for example, during summertime. So during summertime, it's always like the momentum and you should just appreciate wildlife to enjoy your garden as well and do not disturb them. So this is why we do not strip back any hedges, any trees or anything during the entire time when birds might be here and nest, because I really enjoy the birds in the garden. The second reason is there is a certain time frame on when it is good to cut the trees, and this is when they are in the dormancy. So rule of thumb is in between November and earliest March. This is always a good time to do so. Very important thing is make it at a time where you have mild temperatures such as we have at the moment. You do not want to cut those trees when you are in the midst of winter and you have heavy, deep frost, because that might damage your tree definitely. But the forecast looks really nice. We're always like in around 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees Celsius. So this is ideal temperature. And another reason is now that the tree is dormant, obviously, there are no liquids running through the tree. So you don't do any harm to it. But if you do it too late, for example, if I would cut it back late March, for example, this is when the entire tree starts to be in its full juice again and all the buds are appearing and it wants to branch out. And if you cut it down, it's gonna lose a lot of this like moisture that is in the tree. And some trees, for example, like a walnut tree, they can really die if you make it at the absolute wrong time of the year. So if we cut the walnut trees here, for example, we also would do it mainly during winter time, but also once there were 2 big branches that were really hanging low, and those came out in August because also that was a good time for walnut tree to do so. So all I do now is very simple, and I explained it to you already, is I come in with my secateurs and then I just start tidying up here. And when you cut, always try to make sure that you do make your cut on an angle. Because if you cut hardwood straight, then you allow water to sit on it, and then you have this water drop sitting idle on the cutting point. And if the water goes in, sometimes rot, fungus, disease might come in and you might lose an entire branch. This is not what you want. So always try and make sure that you cut on an angle. Obviously here it's easy. Once I'm up on my ladder, I'm going to cut however I can reach it and do it, because this is quite a whopper and it's a little hard to navigate at times to get in here. One last advice though that I just received is if you have birches in your garden, birches apparently do not respond very well to heavy pruning or cutting back because they might start to rot. This is just an information that was given to me because for the back of the garden, I'm thinking about introducing one more tree. And I thought for a momentum to maybe a birch might be the right thing, but it's going to be something different. So this is something that is also lingering around in my mind, but that was me talking. Now what I'm going to do now is really start focusing and work my way through this entire beautiful willow. It's a new day. You might have realized that at one point yesterday, I completely ran out of daylight. So I was legit left with 7 branches up there on the top left corner. So I just quickly went up on my ladder again, snipped them off, and this is what I'm left with. Can you believe it? This is everything that came out of this one willow. In a way, I love to cut it back because it's just once a year and it is a nice job. I mean, it's nice because it's one willow. If there were 10 of those, I'm not so sure if I would enjoy it. But look at this massive pile and also the length of these branches here. Because I told you yesterday, I think like on average, I think they grow maybe 1.5 to 2 meters. And I measured some of them because I couldn't believe it. Some were 2.50 meters long. And this is the growth of just one season. So it's unbelievable how vigorous this willow is. Also, when you cut it back, it's always a great opportunity to check all of the branches and also take out dead wood. So here you see, these are some of the dead branches, and they're always very easy to identify because everything this is fresh is lovely and green and just fresh. And then the old branches, they're kind of like dead and brown. And there's always a very simple method on how to check it. If you're not sure, you just come in with your thumbnail and you just take back a little bit of the rind. And if it's brown underneath, and this is even brown and a little mushy, to be honest, this is definitely dead as a doornail. Other two, I mean, here clearly you see that these branches are still nice and lovely. But if you take the rind off here, can you see it is green? It's fresh and green and vigorous, even like some juice might run out of it. So these are all good branches actually, but still I needed to trim them back because I wanted left with this here, a beautiful open framework so that all the wind can travel in here. And this is especially good, for example, if you grow fruiting trees, because you want to make sure that there is a lot of wind circulation in your fruiting trees to make sure that no fungal disease have the opportunity to get into your wood. And what I really love about this willow though is, and now you can see it even better, you see all of these like kind of gnarly looking branches, they're like twisting and whining. The bark looks really nice here. It's kind of just like, can you see the texture? So beautiful. Alfie's again with me in the garden, obviously. I always need to make sure when I cut that none of the branches hits her on the face, because I can't like cut and look down at the same time, but so far so safe. Look, the sun is out. What a beautiful day it is today. Happy that this job is done. And I think even when it's cut back, it still looks beautiful because it has the molted branches, which is very interesting. So I'm very happy with this job. What I'm going to do now, and this is probably another half an hour to 45 minutes, is take all of these and carry them to the back of the garden, down by this slope where I have my dead hedge. So a lot of these branches will end up there, but some of those I think I might utilize again for another little project. And I can even show you what I did last year, so you have an idea on what you can do with beautiful branches like these. This is where all of the cuttings went, so legit, I think it was almost half an hour of carrying everything down, and you can tell it is a lot. So this is a dead hedge which goes all the way along the border of the property. So where I'm standing with you now, this is the rear end. So if I just show you, this is a slope. The garden is on a dike, so up there, now you're looking at my compost heap, how scenic. Up there is a garden, this is where we just were. And here it is, this is a dead hedge. It's really good for wildlife, by the way, and this is something that is always ongoing, you always create it. This way you can always put all of your cuttings, and it is just a wonderful process. And I'm pretty sure that I seen last spring, some hedge sparrows going in here, and I think that they might have nested in there. But you can also tell the difference now between like the cutting from last year and this year. So everything that came off this year is nice, fresh and green, and a lot of these canes, they look fantastic. They've grown pretty straight and wonderful. And last year I decided to make a little basket weave fence section with it, and this is how it looks now 1 year later. So when I did it last year, it was fresh green, it was beautiful. Then throughout summer it had a momentum where it was kind of black, and I was like, oh, I'm not so sure about that color. I love black, but there was like, oh, I'm not sure if it looks really nice now. But now I love it. Going into winter, it changed color again, and it's all different shades of like brown, a little coppery here and there. And it just shows, I think, really beautiful on how you can utilize the cuttings from your garden. You can make little fence sections out of that. You can just make beautiful like deadwood hatches, or you really just like chop it into small pieces and it goes onto the compost heap. But yeah, this is what I did, and I really think it is always wonderful to cut these things back and then really to do something with them in your garden. That's it for today's video. I know that pretty much a year ago I did almost the same video, but I thought it is interesting for all of you who just discovered my channel, and maybe also a little bit of a reminder for everybody, like this is a really nice job that you can do at this time of the year. if you don't have like heavy frost temperatures in the garden, obviously, but I don't. So I really love to share this momentum with you, and I can't wait to welcome you in my garden next time around, because I have a planting video to come where you might be like, planting in January, yes, but I'm going to plant something because the temperatures stay quite mild. There might be just like -1 for a night, but that's it. So it is an ideal time if you have something to go into the ground. You can still do it actually now. So I'm really excited to do that video with you next time around. All I can say now is thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you so much for giving me thumbs up or for subscribing to my channel. Take care, guys, and see you next time. Bye.